Hi everybody, Miss Rachel at the Farmingdale Public Library here, and today I'm going to show you how to make your very own caramel fudge. This fudge is going to look kind of like the stripes of a tiger in that it's going to be a marbled swirl of orange and brown. It looks pretty cool and it tastes great when it's done. For this activity, you will need a foil pan and some cooking spray to grease it, which I've sprayed into here. You'll need a microwave-safe bowl and access to the microwave. You'll need some measuring cups, a spoon to stir everything with, and a knife to slice your butter with. And you'll need access to both your microwave and the refrigerator or freezer. For the ingredients to make the fudge, we will be needing some semi-sweet chocolate chips, some white chocolate chips, caramel sauce, sweetened condensed milk, and some butter. So shall we get started? The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to grease our foil pan. We want to have the pan greased so that when we take the fudge out, it'll slide right out and it won't get stuck, especially since we'll be chilling it. But let's prepare our first layer of fudge. The first layer that we're going to be making is the brown layer using our semi-sweet chocolate chips. We're going to be measuring 2 cups of chocolate chips into our microwave-safe bowl. So I have a 1 cup measuring cup here, and that's 1 cup. And here comes my second cup. Okay, 2 cups. Perfect. Now, I have here a bowl of chocolate chips. Looks pretty good just by itself. And we will be melting this in the microwave. But we won't just be melting this plain. We're going to be adding our sweetened condensed milk. I have here a 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk, and I'm going to be pouring the whole thing on top of my chocolate chips. Ooh, kind of comes out like custard or pudding. And that's a good thing. Condensed milk is very thick, and it's part of the reason why fudge has that ooey gooey yummy consistency to it. I'm just gonna scrape the sides of my jar, get all that nice goodness out of there. Now by itself, condensed milk tastes almost like vanilla pudding. So we're using this to both sweeten the chocolate and to thicken it. Great. So I'm going to set that empty can off to the side. And with my spoon, I'm going to start to mix together my fudge mixture. I'm mixing my chocolate chips and the condensed milk together so that the chocolate chips aren't all in one big clump. And I'm also using a little bit of elbow grease with my spoon. So I am starting to break up the chocolate chips a little bit. That's good because we want them to be broken up and melted. Okay, so there is my condensed milk and my chocolate chips. To that, I'm going to slice and add 3 tablespoons of butter. This also will help thicken the mixture. So with my knife, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to slice off 3 tablespoons of butter, set the rest of the butter off to the side, and I'm going to cut the butter into small pieces very quickly because that'll help the butter melt faster. So I'm going to use my knife and just slice the pieces really small and add it to the mixture. You could also break them up with your fingers if you don't feel like slicing them. Okay. Now with my spoon, I'm going to give this another good mix and try to break up a little bit of that butter. You want this to come together as much as we can. Alrighty, next we're going to start to microwave this. I'm going to be putting my mixture into the microwave for 1 minute at a time. I'm going to put this in for a minute, then take it out of the microwave and stir it for a few seconds. Then I'm going to put it back in and repeat until it is just barely melted. So let's get started with first 1 minute in the microwave. So you could see that after 1 minute, it's starting to liquefy, but it's not totally liquid yet. I'm going to pick up my spoon and give everything a quick stir and get as much of it incorporated as I can. The trick is we don't want to melt the chocolate and burn it. We want to just melt it to the point where it is just barely liquid, as is the butter. Which right now, my butter looks a little bit solid still. So I'm going to keep stirring this and whipping it. And the heat of the chocolate, as you can see, is melting those pieces of butter. You might need to put it in for another minute. I think I'm going to put mine in for just another 30 seconds at most. Alrighty, everybody. So I ended up microwaving my chocolate for about 1 minute and 10 seconds. As you can see, it's just barely melted. And I'm going to take my spoon and I'm going to stir it. Now, the trick with making fudge is you want the chocolate to be just barely melted because you don't want to burn the chocolate. Burnt chocolate tastes really, really gross. It's bitter. And we want fudge to be thick and sweet. So, I'm going to pour it into my greased foil tray. This we're going to be putting into the refrigerator or the freezer to chill while we make the caramel step. I'm going to pour that in. And then once I have it all in, I'm going to use the back of my spoon to spread it out so it is as even as possible. This already smells great. Even by itself, this fudge is very good. It tastes like a melted candy bar, but I like adding the fudge onto the top. Just going to scrape the sides of the bowl a little more. And there we go. That looks really, really good. And as you can see, it's already starting to set inside my grease tray. So I'm going to pick this up carefully because it's very, very hot. And I'm going to pop this into the freezer for a few minutes so we can begin preparing the next step. You could also stick yours in the fridge instead of in the freezer, but it will take a little bit longer to set in the refrigerator. I'll see you in a few minutes. All right, my friends, let's make our caramel sauce. In the meantime, while our fudge is in the refrigerator or freezer chilling so that it is just set, we're going to make the caramel in the meantime. So first we're going to wash out our bowls, and then we're going to make some white chocolate caramel. The reason we're adding white chocolate chips along with the caramel sauce is because the caramel sauce on its own isn't thick enough to hold and set like fudge does. So, shall we get started? For this portion, we're going to need half a cup of white chocolate chips. So I'm going to have a 1/4 cup measuring cup here. Oops. And I did 1/4 cup and 1/2 cup. I'll add in some of the ones that I spilled. There we go. Can be a little bit generous with this too. Now, we have 2 parts of white chocolate chips to 1 part of our caramel sauce. I'm using sundae syrup today, but any kind of caramel sauce from the ice cream aisle is totally fine. We're going to add 1/4 cup. See how runny that is? That's way too thin on its own. That's why we're thickening it up with the chocolate chips. And just like we did before with our semi-sweet chips and condensed milk, I'm pouring the liquid over the solid, so the caramel over the white chocolate chips, and I'm giving it a good stir so that all of the white chocolate is coated. Already it smells like a sundae here. Okay. Nice ooey gooey sticky goodness. Yummy. Now I'm going to put this into the microwave, and just like before, I'm going to be microwaving this in short increments. So I'm going to start with 1 minute, and as soon as the chocolate is just melted is when it's done. So I'm going to be pulling it out every minute and stirring it in between to help move it along. Like with the semi-sweet chocolate, we don't want to burn these chips. So I'll see you in a minute. All right, my friends. I wish you could smell this. This smells so good. Here I have some caramel and some chocolate chips, white chocolate chips. Now notice, as soon as I started stirring them, they looked solid at first, but they're very quickly starting to liquefy. I'm gonna really mix them and put my elbows into that and whip it all together. Okay, I'm gonna put this in for another 10 seconds or so into my microwave, but you might need a little bit longer or a little bit less depending upon how strong your microwave is. Be right back. All right, everybody. So I ended up having to cook my caramel for almost 2 minutes. This was 1 minute and 45 seconds. But look at that. Runny, ooey gooey, sticky orange goodness. Yummy, yummy, yum. This is going to be great poured over our fudge because it'll add just that little hint of salt. So let me go get it. So my fudge I set in the freezer for about 10 minutes. As you can see, it pretty much holds its shape. Now I'm going to pour the hot caramel over the top. Be careful because the caramel is extremely hot. And I'm going to do that with my spoon. I'm going to drizzle it on, almost like I'm making some stripes. But you could do it in any kind of pattern that you'd like if you want to make a design instead. I'm going to drizzle mine on. And I'm going to use a lot of caramel. If you're not a fan of caramel, you can use less and just do a tiny stripe. Or if you do like caramel, you could give it a nice heaping blop. I'm going to do blops in some places, and in other places, I'm going to do fine lines. I'm going to just use one more big spoonful of caramel, and I'm going to drizzle it along my side here. Maybe just scrape the edge a little bit more. Get the last sticky goodness. This smells tasty. So this I'm going to set off to the side, and I'm going to bring my fudge a little bit closer. As you can see, when I'm squeezing the sides of my tin, it's keeping its shape, which is good. Now, with my knife, I'm going to drag it through the design to start swirling together my caramel and my chocolate. Now, this is easy to do when the fudge is just barely set. You don't want it to be completely solid. But I'm dragging my knife through in a figure 8 kind of pattern, back and forth, to make some stripes. Now I'm going to go this way from the opposite side to really blend it in. Now I'm making mine look like a swirl, but you could do yours in any kind of pattern that you'd like. And if you find that you've got too much caramel in one spot, use your knife to drag it around and smooth it out a little bit. Alrighty, that looks really, really tasty. So here we have some orange and brown marbled fudge, just like some tiger stripes. I'm going to stick this into the refrigerator for about 3 to 4 hours, or you could freeze it for about an hour. We want it to be just set, and then when you like the consistency of it and it feels like fudge candy pieces, take a very sharp knife with grown-up's help and slice it into little pieces. So I hope you enjoyed this tasty, tasty fudge, and I hope you had a good time making it with me, because I sure had a good time making it with you. I'll look forward to seeing you again at some of our other programs, and grrr, enjoy your fudge. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.